This week on part 2 of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion.
I've been called a drug addict, a bulimic, a cheater, homeless, mentally unstable, next level psychotic disassociation, multiple personality disorder, a snitch, a liar. My appearance has been made fun of.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion, season 5, episode 18. This is part 2 of the reunion, so let's get right into it. Okay, so we begin this reunion where we left off last week. Todd was respectfully putting Lisa in her place for the way his wife was treated by Lisa, who was supposed to be her friend. He just didn't like the way Lisa handled the whole situation with Gwen and talking about miscarriage and just going a little bit too personal with the details. So as Todd is explaining that, Lisa's assistant, also known as John, says to Todd, "Watch your tone." And Todd says, "No, you watch your tone." To be fair, whether you like Todd or not, his tone was not bad at all. So that was very unnecessary from John. Andy just says that he does think that it's very admirable the way Todd is very protective over Gwen. So moving along, they ask Angie why is she still so mad at Meredith for her husband gay rumors when Monica and Whitney were also the ones that participated in the rumor. Angie says, well, I mean, that's what I thought in the moment. I guess all I have really is Meredith's words. Lisa then tries to defend Meredith. I'm glad Andy said, let Meredith talk. So Meredith claims that she never spoke bad about them. Sean does say, but you did encourage someone to sue us for our house. So then they talk about this drama about Meredith accusing Sean of talking about her son. I'm very glad that they actually played the entire clip of the podcast because Meredith came in with a quote, but coming in with a quote and that you're reading it, that doesn't give us the full picture. So I'm glad that they played the entire clip to show not just exactly what was said, but also the context in which it was said. And Meredith is hell-bent that Sean said Meredith leveraged her son. And to her, that's talking negatively about her son. But the audio shows that it was really a leading question by the podcaster. The podcaster was really the one that said, oh, well, Meredith likes to claim that she is in the board of GLAAD and that her son is gay and that she's friendly to the LGBTQ. So do you think that maybe she's doing that because of the rumors? It was really the podcaster that, said that very leading question, and then Sean responded. So Sean is now explaining himself. He says that at the time, yes, they thought Meredith was behind it. Why wouldn't they? I mean, she is the one that said, let's talk about the husband. Sean says, again, I didn't say anything bad about Brooks. It's a different context. I thought both you and Monica had something to do with it. You must understand how my perception at the time was that you were backpedaling. I mean, I didn't even know you. There was no trust to believe, we really didn't know each other. Meredith then says that Monica is responsible for this. She's the one that put it out there. And Monica also admitted that it wasn't Meredith who came up with the rumors at the Greek Easter event. But then here's the thing though. Angie says that actually Monica did tell her that in fact it was that she got the rumors from Meredith. And Andy gets a message in his ear from the control room and they confirm that Angie is correct. Monica did say on camera to Angie that the rumor came from Meredith. So Angie is correct. And of course, so it explains why Angie would have thought that Meredith was behind the rumor. But it is also true that Monica later said it wasn't Meredith. So the bottom line is that Monica can't be trusted, which we already know. But at this point, Meredith is getting aggravated. She says, Monica clarified that I didn't say it, and you need to play it. I'm getting angry. In fact, I'm finished. She then gets up like a crazy person, and she says, I didn't come here for this. If you don't play the audio, I'm finished. I was like, Meredith, you know what? If I was Angie, I would have just said, go ahead and go, because you didn't do anything this season anyway. So basically, they showed both clips. They show the first one where Monica said to Angie that Meredith did say it, and then they also show the one where she says that Meredith didn't say it. So it is what it is. Meredith eventually does sit down. I think it's crazy how Meredith can't see from their point of view how they could have thought it was her. Like, you can't see that really. Then they move on to the drama between John and Justin, their little incident that almost got a little violent. They both agreed that they overreacted in their own respective ways. So it kind of looks like they're okay. Then Andy brings up the rumor brought up at the finale by Whitney that apparently Lisa and John had a threesome. Whitney apologizes to John. She says that the only reason she said it was because they were supposed to say what was the most hurtful thing they said, and she knows that the most hurtful thing that she said to Lisa was about her marriage, and that's why she said it, but she's apologizing to John, and John accepts it. Lisa clarifies her circle jerks comment and says that it was an analogy, but she didn't articulate it clearly. I still think she should have been more apologetic towards Sean. There's then a question for Justin. Why didn't he stand up for his wife when Seth called Whitney a biatch, which really means bitch? Justin says that he had just promised that day that he wasn't going to get involved in the drama, and he says that it wasn't as aggressive when he was there versus when he actually saw it back. So then Seth says that for him, he was making no sense. So he says that for him, he would call anyone biatch. But then he also blames it on day drinking. But then he also says that there was already so much tension and that everyone was coming at Meredith. And then Meredith is defending him and says, well, Whitney got into a conversation that didn't have anything to do with her anyway. It was just the most bizarre thing seeing them justify Seth calling her that. Seth even says, well, right now, Angie just called my wife a bitch. And Meredith says, that's right, which according to her husband, that's abusive, so Angie's an abuser. Let me tell you something. Seth and Meredith are a joke. I can't take them seriously. And as much as I don't like Lisa, she was right about one thing, and that was her hot mic moment. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on, they discussed Bronwyn revealing that Todd had an affair. Now, Todd hadn't seen him, so he doesn't really know too much about it, but he's heard about it, and he says it was an emotional affair. But now Bronwyn says, well, I wouldn't even say emotional. We just had, he had some conversations that went further than, I would have had. And that's where Heather jumps in and says, Bronwyn, come on, babe. At the boat, you said he was unfaithful, that you were so broken. No, I cannot stand Heather, and I kind of hate that she's right in this moment. I mean, and she asks Bronwyn, did he or didn't he cheat? And Bronwyn says, well, it was emotional. And she says that the only reason she brought it up at the boat was because she wanted to point out how during many times of her life, she's felt like she wasn't good enough, and that's exactly what she was feeling with this group, so she wanted to make a connection. And then Lisa says, okay, well, wait a minute. This is where it gets confusing because she says to Bronwyn, because you were saying that, right now you're saying that it really wasn't that big of an affair, but you got mad at me for not being supportive of you and being more angry at Todd, and then you, Angie, Whitney, and Heather talked about me and Meredith not having your back and saying we had infidelities, and then Meredith goes off as well. Bronwyn says that she definitely felt bad about that conversation, and that is why she came clean on what they said the next day. Todd says that it was very sad and hard knowing that Gwen was the one who caught him. And then Andy brings up how at the trip, Angie said that she learned more about Bronwyn in one day than she knew about Lisa's entire life. Angie says that she really did feel bad saying that, especially because she saw Lisa crying. All she was trying to say was that Bronwyn was very transparent and very open, despite not knowing them for too long. But then they argue a little. Lisa says, well, that was a dig, but Andy has to say the safe words. But you know what? I did love the little shade that was being said. For example, Angie saying, Mary knows me. The people who I love know me. I also loved Mary's little shade when she said, yeah, that's why people love Bronwyn. She's a fan favorite because she's open. Andy said, many people want to know the status of Seth and Meredith's marriage. I doubt anyone cares. But they say that they're monogamous and that even though they have their bumps in the road, they are happy. Then they take a break. The husbands leave. Bronwyn did stop Todd and says, wait, Todd, let John walk out because that was so unnecessary for him to tell you to watch his mouth, to watch your mouth. He needs to watch his mouth. which that I definitely agree with. Listen, Bronwyn, ooh, you make it so hard for people to defend you. You definitely did make it sound like he had an affair on that boat, and for you to come into the reunion and downplay it, even though I like you, I can't defend that. I mean, we gotta call a spade a spade. So after that, the next segment they take a look at is Mary's storyline this season, which involved her dealing with her son's Robert Jr.'s very serious problem. So they take a look back at those scenes. Andy says the comments were just immeasurable. All the support that they got, for that people sent for Mary, and he asks Mary if she felt the love, and she says that she did, and she feels like it was a mission accomplished because she feels like people connected, and it might have helped someone else. Mary says everything Robert said to her shocked her. She says Robert Jr. wanted to go to rehab and he wanted to do the change. He was there for 30 days, and she says he's good, although, he still needs to change his lifestyle, like the friends he hangs out with and things like that. But she says that he's at home a lot. Then Andy actually got very emotional himself and shed a tear over the comment that Robert Jr. made about him feeling like a stain. And of course, Mary cries because that's her son. And she says that when she heard that, all she wanted to do was just make him believe that he was worthy and loved, because he is. Mary does say she feels guilty. She, of course, is always trying to give him the world, being in New York, trying to have him in good education in a very diverse place. Andy asks about Robert Sr.'s reaction, which I definitely have wanted to know too. Mary says that Robert Sr. was broken seeing this, but he actually commended Mary for being a great mom, which meant a lot to her. One of the things they say is that it speaks volumes that Robert Jr. was able to actually speak to Mary and be fully transparent with her over everything that he was doing and feeling. It was also a very sweet moment between Angie and Mary. Angie is saying how great Mary is. She's a great mother. And Andy does ask if she feels like maybe this whole situation might have made her look at her mom's situation a little bit differently. And Angie says that, yeah, of course she's always thought about, what if she would have been a little older, because she have helped her mom and this and that. But she says that Mary said something to her that really changed her entire perspective. Mary said to her, if your mom could do it all over again, she would do it differently. And Angie breaks into tears. It was very emotional. Someone else who was also weeping a lot was Whitney. Andy notices this and asks her what she's thinking, and she's crying so much that she can't even talk. But this really hits home for her, because she hasn't spoken to her dad since season 1, and she says that she saw the episode with her kids. It was just very sad. All of the women, for the most part, were saying very positive things to Mary. Andy then says that he notices Mary being very different this season. Mary says, yeah, I finally have found a true, genuine friend who cares about me, Angie. Andy, being messy, she's like, well, what about Meredith? By the way, Meredith looked mad as hell. Okay, she looked very mad. Mary says, well, the friendship with Meredith is very different. Like, she's beautiful, she's a good friend, but her lives are just very different. She's very busy, and she's always, she's called me and she's checked up on me, but it's just a different friendship. And Meredith says that she wishes she could have been there for Mary more when she was going through this, but Mary does appreciate that Meredith reached out to her after the episode. Somebody wrote in saying that they thought Meredith is jealous of Mary and Angie's friendship. Meredith's like, well, they can think whatever they want. They then talk about that breakfast at Tiffany's event at Mary's, how Meredith left. And they kind of joked that maybe Mary didn't want Meredith there because of those bangs that she had. So they were kind of joking about the bangs, but y'all already know Meredith. She says, I don't care about the comments about my bangs. What I care about is what the other people say about me. She then gets her phone out and reads down a whole list of all of the things that she's been called. Because Meredith loved to be the victim. Although Angie does say, well, what about the things you said and the things you've called people? Andy brings up how Meredith said that she thought Mary used her. And Mary says, yeah, how did I use you? And Meredith says that's just how I felt in the moment. But they end this second part by giving each other a hug, so that was nice. And that was the end of the reunion. Listen, I don't really understand what the point of next week's reunion is. I think this could have been the end of it. But yeah, it was definitely more of an emotional part with Mary sharing more about her situation. Again, unfortunately, Bronwyn didn't make herself look good. But y'all let me know what your thoughts and opinions were about this second part. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.